Hello, everyone. It's Jerry at the Fledge. Welcome to another episode of Every Damn Day. So there's our third version of the intro that we're wanting feedback on. And thank you, Jeremy Hurt, for doing that. And I'm going to switch things just a little bit today, and that I'm going to describe myself while I'm on screen, and then our guest will lead into that. So I'm Jerry. I've got brown hair. I've got brown eyes. I've got my headset on. I'm up in my studio at the Fledge, and I'm wearing a Morgan Matters qualifier, Morgan Madden's qualifier t-shirt. And today on the show, we've got our new friend, Teena. How you doing today, Teena?
Great.
So what you been up to so far today?
Many meetings. I've just about had it with Zoom. After this, I'm going out to enjoy the weather. I'm really excited.
I was sitting out on my table earlier, just trying to relax. I was booked with meetings and took a 15-minute break, and it's summer. Yeah, it feels great.
You have to. It's beautiful today.
Yeah. So let's jump into this. Will you tell us about you and all that?
Absolutely. So 44 years ago, I was born in Shelby, Michigan. So let me think. I'm like way up here in the backwards hand. And I went to school in Ludington, Michigan. All of my life I've worked, because that's a resort town, I've worked in small independent businesses. And came to Lansing, I go to MSU. That was my plan. I was going to go to school. And I got involved in property management, which there's a ton of apartment communities in the area. And there, at that time, 100 years ago, there weren't degrees in that. So I didn't end up going to college for that. And I got into property management and got into development. And it was super exciting. And figuring out how pieces got put together to build communities of people was just amazing. And I had a ton of experience working, because I worked on the development side too. So we worked with contractors and kind of actually building the properties, putting them together. Working with students was really amazing. And I love that portion of my career. I left that and ran a restoration company for 10 years. And that was also really interesting. And kind of, the thing I'm always looking for, and I think this is true with most entrepreneurs, I don't want my days to look the same. If I had to go to the same job every day and it looked the same, I think that would not be in my wheelhouse at all. I sort of thrive on the chaos, and I think that's something. I've got ADHD, and that's something I found actually feeds it well, is that continual chaos. And I think I'm a really great example of somebody who has an invisible disability that deals with it really well. I could not do what I do without that. So 6 years ago, I had an opportunity to work with a family friend in his commercial painting company. And it was going to be a great opportunity for me, but it wasn't exactly the right fit. Like I knew I had more time to give and wasn't quite sure what I was going to do. So I started a small business, and I call myself the Supplemental CEO. And my entire purpose is to help small business owners kind of go through all of that red tape, all of the hoops you got to jump through, all of the challenges. And wow, this last year has been a bigger challenge than we expected, but it's sort of just a passion project for me. To be able to, it's a blessing to be able to go into businesses and hear people's struggles and have people be vulnerable. I mean, there is not one business owner, I don't think, in Lansing, in the world, that has it all together, that knows all the things. They may have hired the right people, but I'm trying to take that stigma off of business ownership, where people are like, well, I don't know that. Like, if you go into a small business and you say, let me see your profit and loss, they're going to be like, some of them may know, or they might fake it really well, but that's not, I mean, typically they're so busy in their trade that they don't know all the ins and outs of that. And if they're missing something, or if there's, a challenge over there. And as I talk to business owners, I realize that there's a need for them to have like a fractional person come in and frankly hold their hand. It's more emotional support than it is anything. And especially this last year, watching entrepreneurs this past year has been probably the most amazing experience I've had in my life, other than probably giving birth to my children. I guess I like them too. Watching people pivot and adjust and experience heartbreak and kind of come back from that. I just, I'm not sad it's going to be over soon at all. But it has been a really amazing experience to be able to be on the front lines for that, and to be able to help people through that, and to be able to come up with ideas, and to watch people at their most tired, at their most frustrated, and then for them to, kind of come out of that. I mean, watching these businesses phoenix out of the flames is just the most incredible thing. I am impressed every day at, the caliber of people that I get to work with, and the experiences I've had up until now that allow me to be able to help them. A lot of times it's simply just being able to look at things a little bit differently. People have been so put down on this year with all of the rules and regulations and this thing, and you can't do this, what about that they can't think really about their business, because they're also worried about their kids and their mom and dad. And I think the biggest thing that came out of this year, and this is probably the thing I talk about most these days, is that in 2019, here was you, here was your business. You can't mix these, right? You can't talk business at home. You can't talk about your kids at work. And especially if you're a woman, you're really not allowed to do that. That's not how it goes. And I watched 2020 kind of come together, and it's and now slowly kind of meshing into this beautiful, we're going to have a whole new way of working moving forward, whether you're an employee, whether you're a business. And I think that that's sort of the most amazing thing that's going to come out of this, because people have figured out there is no separation. You can't be unhappy here and happy here, or vice versa. You have to work those pieces together. And that's been the most fun part for me, is really helping people bridge that gap, because entrepreneurs, it's tough, I'm telling you. And
well, that's a perfect so I'm going to rewind back to something you said when you started talking, and what you just said is a perfect bridge to that. Most people, when they want to be an entrepreneur, they say, I want to be my own boss. But you said what I always say, which is, I want to do something different every day. Yeah. And I love that spice of life. I don't know if I can backwards diagnose myself with ADHD, but I want to go from gardening to painting to my show to my fish to a software project to a whatever. And most people don't say that. Do you find that?
Yeah, I mean, and I think the thing is, that's one of the first things I dig in with people is what is your drive? Because if your drive is money, if your drive is just not to work for somebody else, there's probably a reason you don't work well for other people. I mean, I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just simply that's probably true. You got to figure out what really drives you. And, I know that that's a driver for me. I want every day to be different, and I want to help people. So how do I take those wants and build it into something that's going to be a real career for myself?
Yeah. So, and then the next thing you said that I kind of resonated with me for sure is this year was really busy. And, as a Supplemental CEO, were you helping people a lot with grants and PPP and stuff like that? Or were you just telling them to breathe?
Yeah. So for the first, it was really funny, because in February last year, I told everybody, I said, I'm really concerned. I think we need to have some plans in place. And they all kind of went, you don't know what you're talking about. You panic about everything. Because I'm kind of like the the canary out there that's always squawking about that there could be danger, there could be danger, there could be this problem. And I did not expect it to be this bad. And I spent the first 3 weeks, probably 15-hour days on every chamber, like every SBM, every SBDC, every opportunity to learn something to be able to help them. Nobody knew what the right way to turn was. And so, yes, it's been PPP. It's been writing COVID plans, having, protection in case my OSHA comes in. It's not super sexy, but it's all stuff that is needed. And business owners don't have time to do that when they're completely flipping their operations to adjust for what allowances there are. Because even my trade people, it's different, so it's different for every business. There's nobody that has not been affected. And even the people who are super busy, the operations are different. The PPE that's required, the money that's required to handle all of that, the supply shortages. I mean, there's one thing you'd be shocked at all of the different repercussions from this that have kind of come down the line. So every day has been completely different, and every day has had a new sort of emergency that we've had to figure out the answer to.
I don't know if you want to shout out any customers or anything, but I don't want to cross that line. But kind of, what's your typical customer? What do they look like? Who are they?
Yeah, I work with all different types of businesses because business is kind of its own animal. You can take a trade, you can take real estate, you can take a retail store, and there's still a standard operating procedure you should operate within. I sort of love that I can take that basic and then think outside the box creatively to help them with strategic planning. But I work with a lot of trade people just because, that's really a sweet spot for me. I think oftentimes they're so busy in their trade and out in the field and dealing with customers and doing all the right things that the stuff back at home kind of gets, set aside. Yeah. It's not something they love to do. And it's not something they spend a ton of time doing. And frankly, our business has been really good the last few years. So when COVID hit, people had to look at their expenses. They hadn't looked at expenses in 5-6 years because business has been booming. And I think we came out of COVID, we're coming out of COVID, and it's the same thing. We're going to have a great year this year, but we need to prep for what's, is there going to be a recession? Is there going to be a depression? What's that look like? And I don't know. I mean, I feel like I'm just always trying to help pave the road so we're prepared no matter what. Do I think we're going to have a recession? I have no idea, but let's make sure we've got a plan in case it happens.
So, and just to clarify for anyone who's watching or watches in the future, by trade, you mean plumbers, electricians?
Yep.
Who else? Those are the only two I could think of for construction.
And I don't have all of these in my gamut, but, roofers, movers, HVAC, landscapers, people that just traditionally, are not I find that at some of the higher levels, in the state, in the government, that sometimes they're kind of pushed aside. Mm-hmm. And trades drive a huge amount of our economy. So it's always interesting to me, but
a lot of the side hustles are in the trades too, right?
Absolutely. Well, and there's a ton of opportunity right now. So, and there's a lot of jobs available. So, I mean, that's what's going to help us get through and over this is that availability and that funding that, the more people we can get working, the more people, can buy groceries, the more things just keep rolling right along.
So what's kind of your business model there? Do you charge per hour, or do you have retainers, or?
Yep. So I typically work on a retainer with people. We always start off with a 3-month time slot. I do 10, 15, or 20-hour blocks. I do that because I have to get to know their business to really be able to help them. I can't just come in. There are people that do that, and I am more I want to be hands-on. I want to jump in. I want to get in your business. And like I said, I want to make sure that your life is going to work well together. And it may take a year before you let me into your personal life, but we need to make that mesh well. I want to be able to talk to my clients about going to church and going to the doctor. And hey, the number of people I've texted this week to say, sign up for your COVID shot. Just get with the program, because I care about them. I tell my clients I love them often because they're people that are important in my life. And that's what I want my business model to be. I want to work intimately with businesses and the people that own them and run them to make their lives better.
So, before in the show, I want to make sure we cover something before I ask you what the next question. You talked about there was really a story that made you love small business. Did you cover that?
I don't know exactly what I said about. I mean, just in general, like I've got a long history of working with small business. So, watching people kind of overcome all these obstacles and people get through 2008 and 2009 and even the past year. I mean, I'm deeply entrenched with the entrepreneurs in the area, especially.
I think 2008, I was working in Dubai and I had a contract canceled the day I delivered it. So we had already done all the work. So Dubai municipality owes me $250,000, and I'm going on record as saying I'm pissed. I've been pissed for 12 years about this. But that even to me, like 2009 from a business perspective was tougher than COVID, but COVID was tough. 2009 was tough.
I think it depends on what industry you were in. I mean, like our restaurants or venues, hospitality has really taken a hit this time. And I don't think that they've gotten the help that they needed. I think there's been a lot of money thrown into the economy, but I'm not sure it's went in the right places all the time. I hope when people get their stimulus, I don't know when people are going to listen to this, but when you get your stimulus, go to a restaurant, go spend it at a venue, plan a big party, do all of those things. Think about the businesses that have been like suffering through this and haven't gotten all the help, because a lot of them did get help, but it's not even the PPP, even the second PPP, that's not enough to have made up the difference for this.
That's right. So COVID was one thing, but we also had all of the social justice movement, everything that happened after George Floyd. Were you dealing with that a lot as well?
So a lot of it was people had questions on how to handle that in an appropriate way as a business owner. And I had people ask me questions like, is it okay if I don't comment on it? If I don't have an opinion on it? How do I handle this? Because what if I want to welcome everybody and don't, and we walked through all that, and it was sort of, and then I would send terrible emails that said, hey, such and such is supposed to happen downtown. Please make sure you've got your security cameras on. Please make sure you've got the till closed up and you've taken your cash home. And like the emails and the things that we've dealt with this year have just been like, I hope we don't have to deal with this again anytime soon. They're hard to predict. And I feel like I operate well in that environment, but it's also, I keep telling my business owners, you've been running sprints, 2-week sprints. Well, in 2 weeks, we'll know. Like at Christmas, we'll know. After Thanksgiving, we'll know. We'll know after, more people get vaccinated, we'll know. And the problem is we're in a marathon. And how do you keep sprinting when you're in a marathon? And I really think there's going to be, I've been working with people, this is a big thing with their employees, kind of the PTSD at the end of this. I realized how sad I was. My dad got vaccinated and I made the appointment for him and I got off the phone and I started sobbing because it's been so hard this year. And you didn't realize until that weight was lifted how heavy that pack was that you were carrying. And every employee has a family and a loved one and people that they're trying to protect and things that are different. And I keep telling employers, you need to go a little easy right now. Give them a wide berth, take good care of them. And I think that's going to get worse. I think the after effects of this mentally and emotionally, as things go back to normal, we're going to be excited, but we're also going to be dealing with a lot of emotions. So I'm having everybody kind of keep a close eye on that.
Yeah, I think that, jobs are different now, like you were saying in the beginning. I won't get into my part of it, but so how would you summarize your mission? Like what's your mission you're on? What are you trying to do?
Yeah, I mean, realistically, my mission is just to help business owners kind of get their arms around their business and feel really confident. We delve into what is most important to them. So you got into business because it got handed down from your family. You really love this? Is this what you want to do? Or wait, you do this thing because you make a lot of money. Money isn't filling your bucket. Like, how do we figure out what fills your bucket? And then let's do more of that. Let's figure out how to make money doing that and do more of that. And, that's not a very good mission statement, but that is what I do.
No, I mean, it doesn't have to be a mission statement. That's what you should put on your website. But
Yeah.
The mission is what you and I will talk about. What's something you do every damn day to push that mission forward?
Okay, this is really probably not what normal people do, but I snuggle my 7-year-old. He still likes to snuggle, and at night we snuggle together, and it's my most favorite part of the day. And I go to bed early every single night so I can snuggle with him.
I think that's what normal people should do, probably. I tried to give my 19-year-old son a hug before he drove down to Florida the other day, and he was all a little offstandish. So get all those hugs in right now.
I have a 15-year-old. I understand well. They're a little prickly.
So we daisy chain these shows together. So yesterday on the show, I had Missy Cook, who runs Lansing Hoops.
Mm-hmm.
So she engages kids and mostly women, but anybody through hula hooping. And then it's a lot bigger than that. But she had a question for you. And her question for you is, as you look at people who are entrepreneurs and people who are not entrepreneurs, mm-hmm. like there's kind of a gap between them sometimes. Where do you see that gap? What's interesting to you there?
Yeah, I always just think, I think that people always make assumptions one way or another. And I think that always gets us into trouble. And I think this year especially, well, there are times that I think being an entrepreneur, because I am one, is more advantageous. This is the path I chose. I think that this year was particularly awful for entrepreneurs, and I'm not quite sure that I think it'll take a few years to even out where I feel like there are even options again for people. Like at this point, I think I would encourage my children to get jobs because you have a little bit more control over where your income's going to come from. But I think anybody that would be down on an entrepreneur after this past year would be boo in my book, just because the tears that have been shed, the worry, the concern, trying to keep everybody safe, it's been tough.
Yeah. And, 2020 was strange in that regard because it was the biggest year on record for entrepreneurs starting businesses.
Oh.
Yet 17% of white-owned and 40% of black-owned businesses closed. And, I don't know how many entrepreneurs closed one business and jumped to another or, how that dynamic worked.
Those numbers are really interesting to me. I do some subcontracting work through the SBDC, and I encourage any entrepreneur who's working, in a business. SBDC has free help, and they're amazing. But we've seen people struggling for sure, but we've not seen as many closings as we anticipated. Mm-hmm. And I've talked to a lot of business owners, and I've gotten 3 or 4 answers. But I feel like Lansing overall has fared very well. And again, I feel just really positive about the way we're moving forward. So I'm excited about what the summer is going to bring for us.
Yeah, I'm excited too. The guest tomorrow is Sean Dyer, and he's an artist. We're going to talk about his art. He does a bunch of IT stuff. He put up the Michigan monolith in Old Town. Did I say it right this time?
Yeah.
And what question would you like me to pass to him?
Yeah, I'm just sticking with my positivity, and I want to hear what other entrepreneurs are looking forward to, because that's filling my bucket right now. It's exciting to hear about.
What are you looking forward to?
Okay, this is like a little cheese, but I can't wait to hug people.
Yeah.
So The minute I mean, it's going to be intense.
That's probably the most common thing I say to somebody or somebody says to me as we're parting or seeing each other for the first time as we try to figure out this dance. So again, I don't think, what'd you call it? Cheese?
Yeah.
I don't think that's cheese. What are we forgetting to talk about? What's something we should promote? Like how do people reach out if they're interested in learning more about your services?
So I'm the Supplemental CEO. You can find me at supplementalceo.com. I'm most active on Facebook because I'm in that age group, and that's where business owners kind of hang out. We're all promoting ourselves there, and I'll hang out with any business owner for an hour for free just to kind of hear about them. I love meeting new business owners. I love talking to people. I love chit chatting, and hearing what people are struggling with helps me find ways to be able to help more people. So that's exciting for me.
So you're going to come visit the Fledge and get a tour?
I need to. COVID soon, so soon. I'm only 44 though. I thought I might be able to pretend to be older to get a shot, but we'll see.
For the first time in my life, being a smoker has put me in an advantage for something. So I'm now eligible for my vaccine. But my wife got a vaccine earlier today, so I'm going to see if she turns into a frog first. And if she doesn't,
she will be just fine. So
I'm pro-vaccine, by the way. I'm joking around with my wife.
You're on the path to recovery right now. I cannot wait.
Yeah. Do you do, like, how do you network? Do you do any networking events? Do you?
Oh, yeah. So this has been the challenge. So prior to COVID, I was probably out hitting events, seeing 150 people a week at local things. I actually was so frustrated with the lack of coordinated events that I started my own newsletter that goes out quarterly that tells what all the events are. And I still do that. So if anybody's interested in that, hit me up on my Facebook at Supplemental CEO. But I don't host a ton. I was doing a little bit of business to business in the fall, but it seems like people are starting to get out now and people are meeting in person, and we're able to do it outside even now. So I think there's less of a need for that. And I'm really excited to get back to in-person networking.
Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about before I ask you the last question here?
I think I'm pretty good.
So what would you like to take us out with then?
I just want to tell everybody that, I think good things are on the horizon. I'm super excited. And the more positivity you can spread, the more, I think the sooner we get there, because it's more mental than it is physical at this point. So hang in there.
Yeah, I love it. Be optimistic. We got this. We got it. We're getting around the corner, and this is going to be great. And support each other, build each other up. We all need a little. You said something earlier that not every business person has it together like everybody thinks they do, and we all need help. So support each other. Even support the guys on the top or the girls on the top. So thank you very, very much, Teena, for being on Every Damn Day. I appreciate it. It was nice to get to know you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right, everyone. We will see you later every day, 2 p.m. Thanks, Teena. Bye-bye.